Hello and welcome to Cinebuck Presents, where I give my $2 instead of my 2 cents. When it comes to movies, many of them are appropriate enough to be released onto the big screen, while others are more appropriate for the small screen. This movie is one of those rare cases in which, even after looking at its trailer, one could see it being released onto the small screen. But for some reason or other, it ended up on the big screen instead. Did this movie deserve a release to theaters? The short answer is no. The long answer? Well, let's talk about the story first. Featuring an all-animal cast, it stars an Arctic fox named Swifty, who works for the Postal Service in the Arctic and wants to be the top dog. That is, the best husky courier there is. But typically, a couple of his friends feel that he doesn't have what it takes to be the top dog, considering his small size. Meanwhile, there's an evil walrus named Otto von Walrus, who's a genius engineer who wants to drill beneath the Arctic surface so that he could unleash this terrible-smelling gas that would melt all of the ice in the entire Arctic. Swifty ends up discovering this plan himself and realizes that it's up to him and all of his friends to try to stop the evil walrus's nefarious scheme in order to save the day. Honestly, I don't know what the producers of this movie were thinking, believing that it would have box office potential. One might think that after Norm of the North, which is an atrocious animated film that was meant to be straight to DVD, yet ended up being released to theaters instead, other filmmakers would have learned that movie's lesson and kept certain movies as straight to DVD. This movie in particular practically screams straight to DVD, given the quality of the animation and the scope of the story. You could pretty much make a whole line of trading cards over how many overused cliches that it has, such as having weak jokes, a typical motivation for its villain, and severely underdeveloped characters. On the upside, some of the animation and the voice acting aren't half bad, and thankfully it's not as horrendous as Norm of the North. Basically, it's your typical animated family film that would have benefited more on the small screen than it does on the big one. For my rating, I give this movie on a scale between 1 and 10, a 4.5. It's bad, but relatively tolerable. Personally, I would wait until it comes out on Netflix or DVD. Either one of those formats are probably what this movie should have been released on in the first place. This is Renton Whitetail having given his $2 and signing off. See you next time, and take care.